Okay, there we go. Hi everyone, it's Artie from Human Chapters. I'll tell you a little bit about human chapters. Humans are living narratives with a past, present, and future. These narratives constitute of a number of chapters across a lifespan. The aim of these conversations is to highlight a chapter of the narrative and unpack its connections to other chapters. I don't care whether people are natural storytellers, but I truly do believe each person has a story to tell. I'll do a little bit of an acknowledgement to country before the introduction. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land which now comprises Greater Shepparton. We pay respect to their tribal elders past and present and emerging. We celebrate their continuing culture and we acknowledge the memory of their ancestors. All right, so today at Human Chapters, we are going to be talking with Gisele. It will definitely be an interesting conversation, and I'll let Gisele take the floor and introduce herself. Go for it, Gisele.
Hello, Artie. Thank you so much for having me. I am really honored and humble. So thank you.
No
Thank
worries.
you. So my name is Gisele Willybiro-Maidou, and I am from the Central African Republic. The capital city is Bangui, and maybe you have noticed I have a small French accent, so we speak French and Songo. In my country, I am married, and I've been living now in Nairobi, Kenya for almost 6 years. My husband got a job opportunity, so we landed here in Kenya. We are very happy. Beautiful country, beautiful people. I also have a boy. His name is Louis Christophe. Well, people in Nairobi prefer to call him just Louis, but it's actually Louis Christophe. And he turned 11 in July. He is a bundle of joy. He is so lovely, lovable, handsome, intelligent. Well, he's the perfect kid. He's really the perfect kid, and we are just blessed to have him. And well, when he was 4 years old, he was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. And well, as you can imagine, it was really uh, wow, like a shock. But despite that, he is just like I said, really a bundle of joy and a true blessing to our family. Yeah, so that's about me. That's me.
Wonderful. And before I forget, I actually did forget to say at the beginning, Gisele's chapter is titled My Hero, Louis. And now we know who Louis is. He sounds
Oh,
absolutely fabulous.
no, he is. I know every parent will never say my child is not fabulous, but really, he is fabulous.
Oh, absolutely gorgeous. I look forward to meeting him one day.
I hope so too. You'll fall in love with him.
So, Gisele, take us through what led you to go seek medical appointments, so seek appointments with GPs to get that diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder.
Okay. So I think the first red flag was the fact that he was not talking. Well, at the age of 2, he was having some words. He knew how to say mommy, bye. He could repeat some word. And then after a period of time, he went totally mute. And at the age of 3, no word. Age of 4, no word. So that was kind of a red flag. But at that time, we were not talking about, we were not thinking about autism. We thought it was just a delay of speech. And during that period as well, he was having really hard time to sleep. He could sleep maybe 3 hours, 4 hours a day, which is at that age not normal, I can say so. And but the red flag really was the delay of speech. So yeah, so we went and we saw doctors and specialists, and that's how we got the autism diagnosis.
That's right.
And we didn't know anything about it, nothing at all.
Yeah, that's a good segue. So tell us what happened during the assessments. What were they looking for, or what was your experience of Louis being assessed?
Well, how can I describe an assessment? First of all, it was a long assessment because they will be asking like 100, 200 questions. I don't know if I'm exaggerating, but for what, as far as what I remember, they've asked questions about how my pregnancy was and how was the delivery. Was it a normal delivery by C-section? How was he crying? You know, all these questions about my pregnancy and also his milestone he was hitting at a certain age. So it was quite a long assessment about the mother and the child when it comes to the different milestones that he was supposed to hit um, from different month of ages. So it was a long assessment. I'm not going to say it was traumatizing, no, because to us, we just really wanted to know what was wrong with our son. So we were ready to go through any assessment or to get an answer because we wanted to get help, yeah, for my son. And
And
it happened in Kenya, actually, in Kenya, when we just got in Kenya.
oh, right. Okay. There you go. Yeah, that adds up. I'm not the greatest at maths, but yeah, I was trying to. You're right. Just over 6 years. Okay, so it happened in Kenya. How did you, or once he was diagnosed with autism, what was the process like for you and your husband? And just, it's a lot of information to take on board.
Well, first of all, after all these questions that have been asked, that we've been asked with, when the diagnosis came, unfortunately that day I was not with my husband because he was at work, so I was alone with the doctor, and I remember I screamed,
Mm.
I got on my knees and cried. It was a shock
Yeah.
because I didn't expect that at all. And the funny thing is, I was in shock, yet I didn't even know what autism was. In my mind, autism was just something terrible, was just something horrible. And just like everybody, I think I've heard the word autism, and I've seen some movies like Rain Man and some documentary, you know, but I didn't know what autism is. So to me, it was just, oh my, oh my Lord, what is happening to us? So I was in shock. I was in shock, and yes, and I've cried in the doctor's office. I cried.
Yeah. Yeah. And what take us through a bit of a journey. So what happened after after you cried at the doctor's office and got home, and what was,
Oh,
yeah, how did you digest that information?
the first step is to be okay. Like I said, the first stage is being in shock and being sad and crying.
Mm.
Then after that step, on my part, because my husband was more not accepting the situation, but he was like, okay, so if this is the diagnosis, well, we're just gonna deal with it. But I was really in denial. I'm like, there's no way my child could be autistic.
Mm.
Look at him; he's healthy. And then I am a positive person. Okay, I am an optimistic person, and on top of that, I am a believer. You know, and I've been telling myself and God, this cannot happen. It's impossible. So I was just in denial. I was in denial, and then until the time I realized that hey, the more in denial you become, the more your child will not get better. You won't help him. So I think that denial period lasted maybe
Okay.
a year, and I thought he'll be fine. I'll help him my way,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
What was your way? What was that way of helping?
Praying, praying and then just talking to him, like, hey, you know, Louis, you're not autistic. This is not who you are.
Yeah.
You're fine. Like motivational talking, if I can say so. Yeah.
Okay. And then you said it didn't help. So what?
Well, okay, it's a little bit kind of contradictory if I say it didn't help, because to motivate a person, it does help. Prayer, in my opinion, does help, but you also need, in my journey when it comes to autism, I strongly believe that it has to be paired with therapies.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by it didn't really work.
Yeah. Yeah. So then what did you do after that year?
So what I did, of course, I read a lot.
Mhm.
I had some books. I went on the internet, and my head was full of information. And sometimes you get a little bit lost, because you don't. Another therapist will say something on diet, for example. Then another one will come up and say, no, this is really not working. So at the end of the day, you are a little bit confused, and then I'm like, okay, I need to adapt what will work for my son, because just like any child is different. So you cannot just apply on your child any therapy or any advice that you read on the internet. So okay, so that was the first step, and then of course I've asked around in Nairobi, and actually at Gatwick Hospital, which is what a big pediatric hospital in Nairobi, and they gave me some information on where I could go and get therapy. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So that was your learning journey. What sort of differences or developmental changes did you start to observe in Louis as you're going through these years?
Well, first of all, Louis was a hyperactive child when he was younger, like from the age of 2 until 6. You couldn't get hold of him. You had to be really close to him to make sure he will not run somewhere or touch something he was not supposed to do. So he was just all over the place. So one of the major progress I've seen, it's how he is calm, how he can sit for hours and listening to a story, or for example, in a church setting, how he would be sitting among other children. This is really like one of the biggest progress he has made. And also, when he was younger, when we would talk to him, it's like he didn't understand what we were telling him. Like, Louis, sit, he'll just not sit, he'll just do whatever he would want to do. Louis, take your shoes. It seemed like he didn't understand. But now I'm telling you, he understands everything perfectly.
Okay.
He follows any instruction we tell him. He understands the environment where he lives, the people who are surrounding him. He just came a long way. And one of the things, because I was saying in the beginning that one of the red flags for us was the fact that he didn't talk. And now it's been almost a year now. He can repeat some words, and this is really for us a very big progress and achievement. So these are some of the things we've noticed. He is just a total different boy. Even when it comes in terms of independence, skill. Yeah, he can put his shoes on,
Beautiful.
his sweater on, feed himself. All the things he couldn't do when he was 5 years old, for example.
Yeah. Um, let's talk a little bit about, I'd like to touch on 2 points. Services where you are currently. So what are the access to services like over there? And let's touch on that point first before we go to the next point.
Okay, access to service. Wow.
I know it's
Well,
a can of worms. It's a big question.
yeah, because I don't even know where to start. Okay, let me maybe start by saying, compared to a country like mine,
Mm-hmm.
I am from the Central African Republic, like I said in the beginning, there is absolutely nothing. But when I say nothing, I am not exaggerating, really. There is nothing in terms of nothing for these children, for children with autism. And for children with special needs, I think even in general. But let me tackle autism. There is absolutely no structure, no therapist, no specialist in my country. Now, if I have to compare that situation to Kenya, well, Kenya will be paradise compared to my country. It will be paradise compared to my country. But even though you have access to some therapists, you have access to some informations, there's still a lot to do in terms of finding the right therapy or the right therapist. Let me say the right therapist for your for your child, because throughout this journey, unfortunately, we have been with what I call adventurous. Some people who call themselves therapists, but in reality, they are not. So that has been unfortunately part of our journey. Um, but Kenya is very much better off compared to my country. And I know also compared to other African countries, especially the French speaking countries. Now, one of the biggest challenge also in Kenya when it comes to autism is schooling. It's hard to find that school that will meet all your child's need. There are some. I know there is, for example, Oshwal. I've heard about. I've even visited that school, Oshwal Academy, who has a very, for what I saw, very well equipped in terms of in terms of human resources and also um, uh, um, material for children with special needs, and especially those with autism. But then the waiting list is, I mean, you have to be on a waiting list, and your chances to be accepted are maybe 1 out of 1,000. You know, so, and we don't have a lot of Oshwo Academy in Kenya. I just know that school that to me seems to be appropriate for our children. So in terms of schooling, to me is the biggest challenges, is the biggest challenge, sorry, here in this country, as most of the friends that I have who have children on the spectrum are struggling to find an appropriate school for them. And as a result, some of these friends have chosen to homeschool their children. And to me, it's kind of sad. It's sad if you have to homeschool your child because you have no choice. If it is your choice, then it's fine. But if you have to homeschool your child because you have no choice, it's sad. Because I will always say it, and let me say it again: going to school, it's a basic human right. You're not giving us a favor by accepting our children in your school. It is a human right. Now, the need, we do agree that they need special accommodation, more people, teachers who are trained and all that, we know. But it is a right. So it is up to us as a community, or governments should do something so that we parents don't struggle to find a proper school for our kid. It is not normal.
And let's talk a little bit about what are you finding. You mentioned you and your friends have struggled a lot with schools. What are some of the specific things that you found extremely difficult, whether it's interacting with the school or, yeah, just take us through a little bit.
Well, just let me just give you an example, and I will not give any names, but the main challenge is that we realize that people don't really know what autism is. Not people, school teachers or school administrator don't really know what autism is, because when you have a director telling you that they prefer to have those on the Asperger's syndrome because for them it's an easy autism, to me that's lack of information.
And discrimination.
And, and yeah, and so that's the kind of answer I've been given while I was looking for a school for my son. And yeah, so to me the most challenging part is the misinformation and miseducation when it comes to autism. And then the second one, which is even worse, is that it's like they tend to forget that it is a right. So it is not, we don't have to compromise or to beg for our children to be in school, because nobody is doing us a favor. When it comes to rights, there's no question of favor. We just have to do it. So to me, this is the biggest challenge that we have, yeah, as parents of children with autism.
And education is a human right.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're your struggling points. And so is Louis now at school, or how long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he recently joined a school virtually online since April, and I'm gonna name that school because I think they're really doing a good job. The name of the school is School of the Nations here in Nairobi, and it's a school. Okay, they don't have special needs section or special needs teachers, but they do understand the need for these children to attend school and to be included. So the policy is actually to accept these children as long as they have a shadow teacher and recommendation by therapists who will give them clues on how to work with them. Actually, what I call IEP, Individual Education Plan. Yeah, so that's where my son is, and so far so good.
Wonderful. The other point I wanted to touch on was what is with different diagnoses, and I know particularly in Kenya, having been born and brought up there, did you face cultural difficulties when Louis was diagnosed with autism in terms of him being accepted or into the community? Even your own family and friends, what was that like?
Well, I have to say on that particular part, we've been really blessed because my family has been and is still wonderful when it comes to Louis. He has been accepted, he's included, he's loved. I mean, for that, really, we are blessed. Same thing with our friends. We've never had any, I mean, very rarely. I mean, most of our friends have really been supportive. So on that part, we have been blessed. We have been blessed. Um, well, we have had some people looking at him in a way that, hey, what is wrong with that child? For example, when we go at the mall or supermarket. But most of the time, when Louis will have what we call an inappropriate behavior, I will go and explain to the person, look, please, would you excuse my child? He has autism. And most of the time, I mean, 90% of the time, it has been always good behavior, good response from others. But unfortunately, not for me, I've heard other parent stories that I've came to meet, and it has not always been as beautiful as my story. I've met some women who have been separated from the husband just because they were blamed of the children condition. Um, there are some really pretty sad stories about how autism is perceived in some part of Nairobi or even of Kenya. Most of these women I spoke to, their family believe that they are cursed or the child is cursed, that maybe the child is possessed by a demon. So there are some pretty sad stories, unfortunately, that I have heard. But on my part, really, I've been blessed.
That's wonderful. And now you founded a beautiful organization that raises awareness for autism. Take us through a bit of that journey. Where was it born? When was it born? What do you guys do?
Okay, so Nione, it's a Kiswahili word, huh? Nione. So it means simi. So it's actually, why simi? Because we realize that most of the time when a person has a condition, that person is not being seen for who he or she is really. And we want people by Nione Initiative to see people with special needs, but especially those with ASD, we want them to see them just the way they see us. They are a human being with a body, spirit, soul. They have feelings. They have their own personalities. So they are just human beings, just like you and I. So that's why we gave the name Nione. And Nione was born almost 2 years old, almost 2 years ago, sorry. In December this year, it will be, we will celebrate our second anniversary. And it just came, how did I came up with this initiative? Was just simply the fact that I wanted to join other parents and other organizations out there in Kenya or even in the world who are doing awareness and who are fighting for their children, so that the society perspective and look on our children will change. So that's how it came up. And we, like you said, we do awareness in the community at large, but also in faith places, so that these kids and the family will be totally included and be part of any activities or any activity. And we also do training. Now, our training is not to make professional. No, we just give basic tools on how to accompany a child with autism within a certain setting, and how to teach him, for example, a Bible class, how to teach him a song. So basic tools on how to include and accompany a child with ASD within our community or within our faith places. So that's basically what we do. And so far, so good. We see some impact, and we pray that it will continue to spread even across Kenya.
That's my next question is what has the response been like from other people, or even the impact that you're talking about?
Well, really, the impact has been so far really positive. I have had some friends who did the coming out, if I can say so, when it came to the children or the nephew, nieces. So, and then also the positive feedback that we also received was the fact that we were educating people on a subject which is not always promoted, if I can say so. So to me, it's really heartwarming and rewarding to realize that people are really getting something, and they're being sensitized and informed on a condition which is still considered as a taboo, especially in Africa and in our setting. So it gives us energy to continue and to even do better.
Absolutely. And good on you for starting this organization and yeah, get going.
And
Because
for those who are watching, you can go on our Facebook page, sorry, Nione Initiative. Facebook page, YouTube page, Twitter, Instagram, and you
So
can
we'll put the links when I upload the conversation. Absolutely. That's fantastic. Now, Gisele, tell me, have you got any other points in your preparation where I haven't asked you that question, or something you want to tell the audience that?
well, well, you know, when you have a child, like everybody will tell you, it changes your life, okay? And of course, when I had Louis, it changed my husband's and my life. But when that child has ASD, it even changes not only your life, but you as a person as well. And it changes you, I can say, in a good way, in a positive way. And today, maybe my encouragement will be to a person who may have a child, or even who may have a sibling in a condition which is not easy. But I think there's always a good that comes from a challenge. It it reveals the true you. I never knew that I was a patient person until I had my son. I never knew I was that strong mentally until I had my son. I never knew I was a woman of faith until I had my son. So if you're out there, if you are listening, life is not easy. Nobody ever said life would be easy. It will always have challenge, but when it comes to me, my strength really comes from the Lord, from my God. And also, I just believe that there's always a solution to any problem. So that's maybe the word of encouragement I would like to tell a person who may maybe live the same situation, or may live another situation which is challenging, but there's always hope. There's always hope, because when I got my son diagnosis, I was crying because I thought it was a terrible news that our life would be miserable. That's why I cried, consciously or unconsciously. But today,
Yeah, that,
always smiling.
that's so wonderful. That's really well expressed. Thank you so much for it.
Doesn't mean always easy, but
No, that's
life.
the reality. Yeah. My final question to you is, and you can choose not to answer this one, but what's your aspiration for Louis?
I'm going to answer that question. My aspiration for Louis is, I want him to be happy. I want him to be healthy. I want him to find his way and to do why he has been created and being put on this earth. And that doesn't mean that I want him to become a pilot or a doctor. If that's what he has been called to do, fine. But it could be, maybe he has been called to become a chef, a teacher. Whatever the calling he has upon his life, as his mom, I'm here to help him achieve the real him. And I want, as much as I can, help others also to see him as a young child, a young man, the man that he will become, and not being targeted as autistic. So I think the aspiration I have is just the one that all parents have. They are not different. They're not different. It's the same as any parents out there.
That's wonderful. Thank you so very much, Gisele. It's been an absolute honor talking to you and getting to know Louis through you. And
Yes.
yeah, getting to know a little bit about your journey and what it's been like. So that's very personal. Thank you very much for sharing it.
Thank you. It was really an honor. I'm honored to be part of this journey and to be talking to you. And I hope I'll see you soon, since you're from Kenya.
Thank you. I'll stop recording.